A single host, untouched and radiant, is discovered amidst chaos, reigniting the faith of an entire community. In a world filled with skepticism, one young boy's quest to document a centuries-old miracle leads to revelations that could change lives forever. As the past collides with the present, he faces a momentous question. Can these stories spark hope and belief in those who have lost their way? But to understand how we got to this point, we need to go back to the beginning. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know in the comments where you're listening from. Carlo Acutis stood at the threshold of his room, the flickering light of his desk lamp illuminating stacks of books and papers that spoke of miracles and the profound mysteries of faith. At just 15, he wore the determination of an explorer and a scholar, an inquisitive mind drawn magnetically to the extraordinary. With each page he turned, he felt a deeper pull toward the divine, a call that transcended the mundane dramas of daily life in Milan. His parents, Andrea and Antonia Acutis, had nurtured his curiosity. As steadfast believers active in their parish, they instilled in Carlo the value of faith as a guiding compass. Their home was filled with discussions on the nature of miracles and the importance of the Eucharist, where each meal became a mini-ceremony of gratitude and reverence. It's no wonder that as a child, he had begun to document the Eucharistic miracles he learned about, the stories he found electrifying like the spark of light in a darkened room. He often spent his evenings researching the history of these miracles, compiling notes and photographs in colorful binders. One day, while perusing internet archives, Carlo stumbled across a documentary detailing the miraculous events of Siena in the year 1730, an extraordinary tale of hope that ignited his passion. The idea of exploring these stories further filled him with an electric thrill, urging him to unearth the truths hidden behind old texts and faded images. "I must go to Siena," he declared one evening, his eyes dancing with excitement. The statement rang through the humble walls of their home. "There, I can witness the blessed hosts for myself, and maybe uncover something no one else has seen yet." Andrea, pausing at the table, looked up from his meal. His brows knitted, the weight of oppressing thoughts clear in his eyes. "Carlo, traveling such distances can be expensive," he warned, his voice steady, yet fatherly concern cut deep. "But Dad," Carlo insisted, "this isn't just any trip. It's about faith. The hosts that defied time. If I can document them, I can share their story with the world." His mother, Antonia, smiled softly, but exchanged a worried glance with Andrea. Yet they recognized this was more than mere enthusiasm. It was a calling. The next morning, Carlo sat quietly in church, the air thick with incense and yearning prayers, his gaze fixed on the altar. The marble gleamed under the soft light, a heavenly embrace. He closed his eyes and felt the familiar pulse of faith strengthen within him. In his heart, he whispered a prayer, seeking guidance for this journey ahead. Would it indeed become a mission to reveal the miracle of the Eucharist to those who were blind to its truth? Days passed quickly as he plunged into preparation. He meticulously planned his trip, feeling a mixture of eagerness and trepidation. The thought of confronting history filled him with anticipation, like an explorer preparing for an uncharted voyage. With each moment, he felt the weight of purpose upon his young shoulders. The deeper meaning behind it all wasn't lost on him. This journey was not only about uncovering the past, but also about illuminating the present and future of faith for many. On a cool autumn morning, Carlo packed his camera and notepads, along with a small satchel that carried mementos of prayer. As he boarded the train to Siena, a sense of reverence enveloped him. The rhythmic sound of the train on the tracks matched the beating of his heart, each chug a reminder of destiny, guiding him toward a profound discovery. His parents waved goodbye, their hearts filled with prayers and hopes wrapped tightly around their son. Upon arrival, the city of Siena greeted Carlo with a blend of ancient grandeur and spiritual depth. The cobbled streets whispered tales of history, echoing the footsteps of countless pilgrims who had walked them before. In the distance, he could see the majestic cathedral, standing tall as a sentinel of faith. He felt as though the city itself was alive, wrapped in a cloak of mystery waiting to be unveiled. As he made his way toward the heart of Siena, every moment bristled with potential. Carlo remembered the stories he had read, the robberies, the miraculous preservation of the hosts. History was more than just dates and facts. With each brick of the city, a story pulsed with life, inviting him to delve deeper into the layers of truth. But what awaited him there? It was not just a city rich in culture, it was a canvas of spirituality painted with the brush of divine interventions. With each step, the tension built. What new truths would he unveil? What revelations would bolster not only his faith, but the faith of others, nourished through his findings? His heart raced with expectation, knowing that a miracle was just beyond the horizon. As he approached the Franciscan friary, he felt the gravity of his mission press down on him, intertwining with the thrill of possibility. Carlo couldn't shake the sense that he was on the cusp of something extraordinary. The stories he intended to tell would not just recount history, they would inspire wonder in those who dared to believe. Would the records of the past open doors to faith in the present? Only time would tell as he took a deep breath, grounding himself in prayer for the journey ahead. Carlo inhaled the rich, fragrant air of the Franciscan friary, his senses awakening to the history that wrapped around him like a comforting blanket. The quiet atmosphere echoed with the prayers of countless visitors who had sought solace within these walls. It was here that he would connect with the miracle that had captivated his heart. The events of 1730, where faith and the divine intertwined in dramatic fashion. His curiosity blended with determination as he followed Factor Giovannetti deeper into the friary. The flickering candlelight cast dancing shadows on the stone walls, and the frail old man's voice resonated, recounting the fateful day when thieves had stolen the consecrated hosts. "The heist was audacious, barbaric," Factor Giovannetti proclaimed, his eyes widening with passion. "To think someone would dare to disturb the very essence of our faith." Carlo's heart raced as visual images danced in his mind, the chaos of fear and disbelief rippling through the townsfolk as they realized the sacred treasures had been taken. "But what happened next?" he interjected, leaning in closer, captivated. Soon after, those who had committed the theft began to experience strange misfortunes. It's said that both the thieves and their families fell prey to terrible calamities. Just 2 days later, during a search near the site, the hosts were miraculously discovered intact, untouched. Factor Giovannetti paused, allowing the weight of the tale to settle around them. "How were they preserved?" Carlo asked breathlessly. "Divine providence is the answer many believe," the friar replied, a serene smile breaking across his face. "These hosts, once consecrated, cannot decay in the same way as any ordinary bread. They remain eternal until the end of time." The words resonated with Carlo, planting seeds of profound understanding. He imagined himself standing amidst the chaos, surrounded by cries of despair, giving way to disbelief as the mystery of divine intervention began to note itself in the teachings of faith. He felt a responsibility growing within him to share this story, a story that could strengthen the weary and light the spirits of the doubtful. Factor Giovannetti led Carlo through the labyrinth of the friary to a small, dimly lit archive room. Dust particles danced in the streams of sunlight as they entered, showcasing an array of ancient texts and artifacts waiting to be explored. Each book was filled with volumes of history and accounts reminiscent of his late-night research at home. A fervent desire now surged through his veins as he realized he was about to delve deeper into a tale that could change countless lives. "We must show faith through knowledge, especially when it comes to events such as this," Factor Giovannetti remarked as he guided Carlo to a heavy wooden desk laden with scrolls and manuscripts. "This miracle needs to be documented and shared." You already possess the heart of a researcher. Now it is time to harness that spirit. The pair spent the following days immersed in research, poring over handwritten notes from witnesses, letters penned by clergy, and faded newspaper clippings that chronicled the community's reaction. Carlo felt an extraordinary thrill each time he uncovered a new detail. It was as if he was piecing together a puzzle of faith. The stories flowed through him, indelibly marking him, feeding his passion. "Look at the hope in the community's words," Carlo exclaimed one evening, turning a page to reveal another entry filled with excitement and joy. "They talk of an unwavering belief. This isn't just a historical footnote, Fante Giovanetti, it's a living testament." "Exactly. Miracles breathe life into belief. They do not merely exist, they teach and inspire," the friar replied, his eyes sparkling with pride as he watched Carlo's enthusiasm bloom. "These accounts hold the potential to touch hearts and stir a revival in faith." With each passing day, Carlo found himself growing more connected to the emotions surrounding these events. He imagined the families of the originally robbed parish, the somber faces of disillusioned believers, and the sheer jubilation that followed the miraculous discovery. It forged an empathetic bond that led him to confront the resilience and fragility of faith. Every evening, after long hours of research, Carlo would reflect under the stars in the friary courtyard. The gentle rustle of leaves accompanied him as he offered prayers of gratitude for the wisdom he gained. It was more than just facts and figures. Each story breathed life into his faith, intertwining his journey with that of the long-ago believers. "Lord, grant me the clarity to share these stories with others," he whispered into the vast silence, feeling a reassuring presence enveloping him, nodding at the convictions blooming within him. One afternoon, alongside Fante Benedetto Rossi, Carlo unearthed a box of photographs taken shortly after the discovery of the preserved hosts. They depicted a community united in celebration, arms raised in praise, hearts grounded in revitalized hope. For Carlo, these images represented more than joy. They encapsulated the essence of hope, of faith manifesting through trials. With a sense of renewed purpose, he resolved to create a digital compilation of the miracle, weaving in historical narratives, eyewitness accounts, and powerful imagery. A website that illustrates this moment for the world, combining faith, history, and the undeniable truth of the Eucharist, he proclaimed, eyes alight. Fante Giovanetti approved, his approval a spark that ignited Carlo's fervent desire to promote belief in a world increasingly shrouded in doubt. For him, this miracle was not just an explosion of the past, it was an essential tool for evangelization. "Imagine the power of what you will share, Carlo," Fante Giovanetti encouraged him. "You will be lighting a fire of faith that could catch and spread. You possess the gift of technology, but pair that with this dedication to truth, and you will inspire unbelievers and believers alike." Excitement coursed through Carlo as he busied himself planning the website. Each glance into the archives pulled him deeper, reaffirming the need to bridge the gap between technology and faith. He felt the urgency to unleash the power of these stories, knowing they held the potential to shine light on a world often cloaked in shadows. Days turned into weeks, the project coming alive beneath his fingertips. With mock-ups and designs flowing, Carlo felt acutely aware of the weight on his shoulders. This was not merely about his passion for research, it was about breathing new life into an age-old narrative of faith. As he moved closer to completion, his mind filled with visions of what could resonate, how every photograph and every handwritten account would spark wonder in hearts thirsty for truth. Would it reach those who had drifted from faith, or perhaps touch the untapped potential in others? Would the world at large be moved by the miracle that had changed his own understanding of faith? With renewed energy, Carlo poured his heart and soul into the project, inviting the ethereal presence of those long-past believers to breathe life into the work he was creating. Through the lens of history, Carlo Acutis was connecting the past to to the present, forging a path towards a hopeful future. The miracle indeed felt ever present, as if it wove itself intricately into the very fabric of his life and those who sought the truth. Time would tell whether it would resonate with others as profoundly as it did within him. As the dawn broke over Siena, Carlo Acutis rose with a keen sense of purpose. He was determined to dive deeper into his exploration of the Eucharistic miracle, as he prepared for a week dedicated to uncovering personal testimonies and exploring the sacred places connected to the miracle. This would be an opportunity to gather the heartbeats of faith and devotion that still echoed through the city, and he was ready to embrace it. Stepping out early, the streets were adorned in the soft hues of sunrise, casting a gentle light on the ancient buildings that had witnessed centuries of faith. Carlo's excitement thrummed in his chest, propelling him toward the local parish, where he hoped to meet parishioners who had first-hand accounts of the miracles, stories that could bridge the gap between history and belief, providing layers of context for his website. Upon entering the parish, he was greeted by the familiar sound of voices mingling in prayer and community. The atmosphere buzzed with the warmth of belonging, each parishioner connecting in a shared devotion. Carlo approached the altar and soon learned that several church members were gathered in the adjoining room for a morning meeting. "Welcome, young man. Are you interested in joining us?" An elderly woman with warm eyes called out. She had a presence that radiated kindness, making Carlo feel right at home. "Yes, I am Carlo Acutis. I've come to learn about the Eucharistic miracle and gather stories from those whose lives were impacted." "Wonderful. How refreshing to see young energy engaged with our shared faith," she replied with enthusiasm, inviting him to sit among the group. The parishioners welcomed him with open arms, their collective eagerness to share stories igniting a lively discussion. Carlo settled in, listening intently as each person recounted how the miracle of Siena had shaped their spiritual journey. He scribbled notes, feeling the pulse of faith vibrating through the room. One member, a man named Luca, spoke of a time when he was teetering on the brink of disbelief. "It was during a difficult period in my life, but hearing about the miracle and witnessing the hosts untouched and preserved filled me with hope. It reconnected me to my childhood faith," he shared, his voice tinged with emotion. The stories swirled around Carlo, each one a shimmering thread, weaving into the larger mosaic he wanted to present through his website. With every account, he grasped how the miracle transcended time. It existed not just as a historical event, but as a living testament to divine grace impacting contemporary lives. As the meeting progressed, Carlo spoke about his vision for the website. "I want these personal stories to resonate with others. By presenting this miracle alongside first-hand accounts, I believe we can inspire faith in those who are lost or struggle to believe," he explained passionately. The attendees nodded appreciatively. They saw the fire in Carlo's eyes as he articulated his vision. "You are right. The world today needs reminders of faith. We must harness the power of technology to spread our stories," one woman exclaimed. After the meeting, many parishioners approached him, eager to share additional insights and anecdotes. Each conversation was a joyful exchange, breathing life into Carlo's mission. They spoke of their connections to the miracle, how it had solidified their faith or opened their hearts during times of doubt. With a treasure trove of material now at his disposal, Carlo ventured into the rest of the day with renewed vigor. Walking through the narrow, winding streets, he felt like a modern-day pilgrim on a quest for knowledge and understanding. He passed by historical landmarks. Each building stood silent, yet he could almost imagine the prayers that had seeped into the very stones. That afternoon, Carlo decided to revisit the library to examine some archival images and documents related to the time of the miracle. A sense of reverence washed over him as he walked down the familiar aisles, ready to dive back into the stories that shaped Siena's faith. As he researched, he became particularly drawn to photographs capturing the community's celebration after the hosts were discovered. In those images, the townsfolk were radiant, faces illuminated with joy and praise, arms raised high in thanks. Carlo imagined reproducing these visuals on his website to convey not only facts, but the emotional resonance of the moment. Suddenly, an idea struck him. What if I added a multimedia component to my project? He mused to himself, excitement bubbling. A feature that could incorporate audio clips of testimonies along with the written accounts would allow visitors to not only read, but also hear the stories directly from the hearts of the believers. His mind raced as he returned to the friary, where he planned to gather his thoughts, sketch ideas, and refine his website's design. When Carlo arrived, the storm of inspiration poured onto the pages of his notebook as he drew designs and brainstormed how to bring every layer of faith to life. With each hour spent designing, he felt certain that he was creating a unique platform that could speak to the souls of those seeking guidance and encouragement. If he could gather enough compelling stories from the community, frame them within the historical context, and make them accessible online, he could manifest the miracle for future generations. Days passed in a flurry of activity. Carlo met with more members of the clergy, older parishioners who had vivid memories of the miracle, and even some skeptics willing to share their thoughts. He was relentless in his pursuit. At the same time, he pored over records, balancing history with personal narrative, tying together the strands into a cohesive message. One evening, as he sat in the courtyard under a canopy of stars, he wrote out the mission statement that would guide his work: to share the miracle of Siena through voices that echo across time, inviting hope and reigniting faith in the hearts of all who seek the truth. Carlo's heart swelled with pride as he penned this intention. It served as a reminder of what drove him and why he was committed to the project. He envisioned how many would encounter this site and how it could inspire them to explore their faith anew. Soon after, he set a plan in motion to finalize the website's structure. He envisioned interactive elements woven throughout, historical timelines showcasing significant moments, galleries of photographs, and heartfelt testimonies that would create a sense of community for both believers and those searching for faith. As completion approached, Carlo realized that the project had transformed him deeply. It was about more than simply telling the story of a miracle. It had become a journey of discovery, faith, and connection to something greater than himself. With every interview and every story gathered, he found himself more entrenched in the very heart of the miraculous, a reminder that faith could transcend generations. With an unwavering determination, he approached the final stretch of his project, envisioning the launch day when he would finally unveil it to the world. His heart raced at the thought. Would it resonate with others? Would it light the flame of faith that had burned brightly within him? With every keystroke, Carlo was not just building a website. He was constructing a bridge between the past, where the miracle took place, and the present, where he hoped to ignite a new wave of faith. Each story was a strand of light that would weave together, illuminating the path for countless souls searching for truth and grace. It was a calling he knew was worth every ounce of effort he poured into this sacred mission. The night before the launch, Carlo Acutis paced the courtyard of the friary, his mind swirling with anticipation and apprehension. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a silvery light over the ancient stones, providing an ethereal backdrop to his thoughts. He felt the weight of every story, every testimony that had crossed his path and found a home within his heart. This was a profound moment, not just for him, but for everyone who believed in the miracle of Siena. Is it enough? He wondered aloud, feeling a knot of doubt tighten in his chest. Will this truly ignite faith in others? He looked at the stars, searching for a sign, a reassurance that he was on the right path. In that stillness, he closed his eyes and offered a prayer. Lord, guide me. Let these stories inspire those who seek your light. Let them see that miracles are not just relics of the past, but living truths. As dawn broke, Carlo felt a renewed sense of peace wash over him. He prepared for the day ahead, each movement infused with intention. He had learned over the past months that storytelling was not just about sharing events. It was about connecting hearts, inspiring hope, and deepening faith. Arriving at the parish hall, he was greeted by familiar faces, each person radiating warmth and excitement. The space had been adorned with decorations. Candles flickered gently, their soft light creating a sacred ambiance. A communal table was set with refreshments, signaling a celebratory atmosphere. The gathering, more than just an unveiling, felt like a reunion of spirits united in faith. As the time for the presentation approached, Carlo glanced around the room. Familiar figures from the community filled the space. Families, friends, elders and children, all drawn together by a shared experience. Their smiles reassured him that they were eager to listen. He took a deep breath and stepped to the front, allowing the energy in the room to infuse him with courage. "Buongiorno, everyone. Thank you for being here today to witness something very special," Carlo began, his voice steady yet filled with enthusiasm. "Today, we gather not just to launch a website. We gather to celebrate the miracle of Siena that binds us together in faith and hope." With a click of the remote, the first slide projected onto the screen, illuminating the room with vibrant images of the preserved hosts surrounded by candles, evoking reverence. Gasps of recognition rippled through the audience, familiar faces reflecting both joy and pride. Carlo continued, "This project has been a journey of discovery that began with stories shared among our community. Each one of you played a role in weaving together this tapestry of faith. Today, I'm honored to share these stories through a digital platform that I hope will inspire generations to come." As he clicked through slides, Carlo narrated the historical significance of the miracle, the theft, and the miraculous preservation of the hosts. He spoke of the outpouring of faith, the prayers that filled the streets, and the moments when despair transformed into joy. "Let me introduce you to Lucia," Carlo announced, as he transitioned into her powerful testimony. "She is a shining example of how this miracle sparked hope in the hearts of many." He played a recorded clip of Lucia's voice, her words filled with emotion as she recounted her experience during the dark days of the theft. "In that moment, when the hosts were returned, I felt as if God himself was telling us never to lose faith." The room fell silent, captivated by Lucia's heartfelt account. Carlo felt the presence of faith enveloping everyone, a reminder of how shared experiences could bind them together and inspire one another. He provided glimpses into the interactive elements on his website, the timeline, the photo gallery, and other testimonies that each contributed to the larger narrative. "Each story shared on this platform keeps the miracle alive," he continued. "It invites us all to engage with our history and celebrate our collective faith. I envision a space where we can not only honor the past, but also build community for the future." As he showcased the website's features, he emphasized the importance of community involvement. "This site will allow us to share our experiences and stories with the world. Each contribution adds value and can inspire others seeking the truth." As he concluded, Carlo looked out at the crowd, their faces illuminated by the glow of the projector. "I invite all of you to become a part of this journey, to share your stories and to explore the miracles that surround us every day. Together, we can breathe life into the history of Siena and reignite the light of faith in many." The applause that followed echoed around the parish hall, filling his heart with warmth and gratitude. This was not just his project anymore, it was theirs as well. Members of the community approached him, expressing their enthusiasm and sharing their own stories. "You've given us a reason to connect with our faith more deeply," one woman said, her eyes shining. As conversations flowed, Carlo felt a surge of energy. Families exchanged stories that passed through generations. Friends reminisced about their shared experiences of faith. Laughter filled the room, mingling with heartfelt reflections that resonated through the hall, creating a profound atmosphere of community. Carlo felt that this gathering was a direct reflection of the miracle itself, a reminder of how faith, when shared, could light up even the darkest corners of the human experience. As the evening wore on, the parishioners were encouraged to explore the website on their devices. He watched with joy as people connected, sharing smiles, stories, and laughter. Members of the community began to share their own personal narratives, excitedly documenting their experiences. In the midst of all this, Carlo took a moment to absorb the atmosphere. The realization washed over him that he had created not just a website, but a thriving, living testament to the miracle of Siena that flowed seamlessly between the past and the present. Later that night, as he sat quietly in the courtyard, gazing up at the starlit sky, gratitude filled his heart. He thought of all the stories that had emerged, the connections that had been forged, and the faith that had taken root in the hearts of those around him. He understood that each story was a flame, kindling the collective spirit of the community, ensuring that the miracle would never be forgotten. It was in this moment of reflection that Carlo realized his mission was far from complete. The website was merely a starting point, a spark ignited in the hearts of others. He would encourage even more voices to join the conversation, to share their stories, so that together they could illuminate the path of faith for many others searching for truth. As he took a deep breath, the weight of responsibility transformed into excitement, igniting a new flame within him. Carlo knew he had merely begun to scratch the surface. The journey ahead was filled with promise, and he felt called to embrace it fully. With the miracle of Siena as his guide, he resolved to expand the dialogue, inviting individuals from all walks of life to celebrate their faith openly and courageously. From this moment on, he would champion stories of hope that echoed through time, stories that had the power to touch hearts and illuminate the spirit of belief. As he walked back inside the friary, a renewed commitment surged through him. The miracle was alive and breathing in the stories shared today. Through his efforts, he had not only documented a remarkable event in the past, but had also laid the groundwork for a future where faith could thrive, reigniting hope in the hearts of all who dared to seek it. This was just the beginning of a beautiful journey woven together by faith, hope, and an unwavering belief in the power of miracles. As the days passed, Carlo Acutis found himself deeply immersed in the transformation of the community around him. The website had ignited a wave of engagement and excitement, and he felt compelled to harness that energy into something even greater. Miracles had already begun to unfold in the lives of individuals within the congregation, and he knew it was time to share these stories more broadly. The success of the festival had inspired Carlo to organize additional outreach initiatives. He envisioned a series of community workshops designed not only to create a space for storytelling, but to equip people with the skills to share their faith journeys creatively. Inspired by the overwhelming response to the festival, he worked to set a calendar filled with workshops focused on art, music, and literature, all anchored in the theme of miracles. Carlo scheduled the first workshop to be held at the parish hall, focusing on creative storytelling through writing. He believed that writing was a powerful medium to express faith and inspire others. As he prepared his materials, he felt a rush of excitement, knowing he was about to facilitate a movement that would empower others to communicate their connections to the miracle of Siena. On the special day, participants trickled into the hall, eyes bright with anticipation. Families, students, and parishioners gathered, exchanging smiles and conversation as they settled into their seats. Carlo welcomed everyone warmly, his enthusiasm infectious as he encouraged them to embrace their experiences and use their voices. Each of you has a unique story that contributes to the beautiful tapestry of our faith. Today, we will explore how to share these stories meaningfully, he said, gesturing to the materials laid out on the table. He began with a few exercises that encouraged participants to reflect on their personal experiences of faith and the miracles that had touched their lives. Initially hesitant, they soon found their voices. Through the warmth of shared laughter and open conversation, each person began to unravel their thoughts, stitching together memories that had long been tucked away. One participant, a young woman named Sophia, spoke up about how the miracle had shaped her faith during a challenging time in her life. "I remember feeling lost and disconnected, and then hearing about the miracle rekindled a fire in me," she shared, her passion palpable. "It reminded me that even the smallest moments can be miraculous, and I want to express that through my writing." Carlo nodded appreciatively, recognizing the profound impact a simple testimony could have in inspiring others. Each story they shared offered a glimpse into the power of personal faith, snippets of hope that resonated deeply, filling the room with a tangible sense of connection that reaffirmed the miracle of Siena. As the workshop continued, participants began to craft their stories into short pieces, gaining confidence in their ability to express their thoughts. Carlo encouraged them to tap into their emotions, weaving together the threads of their experiences as they prepared to share them aloud. With each story read, the atmosphere pulsated with energy. Attendees nodded in recognition, and some were moved to tears, their hearts touched by the vulnerability and honesty of their fellow parishioners. One man shared how he had rediscovered the practice of prayer through the encouragement of a friend, igniting a transformative process in his life. "I never thought it would feel this powerful again," he said, his voice trembling slightly. As everyone expressed their heartfelt reflections, Carlo felt an electric sense of connection envelop the room. By the end of the workshop, a strong sense of community had forged. It extended beyond the hall, reaching into every heart present. Each of them had the ability to serve as conduits of faith, sharing their stories with a world desperately in need of inspiration. Once the workshop wrapped, Carlo encouraged participants to submit their written pieces to the website, where they could be showcased as an ongoing feature celebrating the miracle of Siena. "By sharing your stories, you contribute to a legacy that transcends time, reaching out to others seeking hope and light," he declared, excitement dancing in his eyes. In the weeks that followed, the website received a steady influx of submissions, with fresh stories unfolding like petals of a blossoming flower. Carlo took extra care to highlight particularly impactful narratives, weaving them into a section dedicated to the continuing dynamic of miracles. The interactive component of his project began to take shape, turning testimonies into audio recordings that visitors to the website could listen to. Somehow, it deepened the connection between individual experiences, showcasing the communal aspect of faith. Carlo's weeks were filled with hosting more workshops, each one cultivating an extraordinary spirit of growth within the community. On several occasions, he partnered with local schools to encourage students to explore their creativity through art. "Bring your experiences to life," he encouraged them, fostering enthusiasm that pushed students to express their connections to faith through drawings and poetry. The community flourished in the wake of these efforts. Groups began forming organically, with individuals gathering to support one another and share their own stories within safe spaces, while art and creativity became avenues for exploration of profound themes. Everyone became a storyteller in their own right, transcending the boundaries of their original beliefs. One sunny afternoon, as Carlo walked across the parish grounds, he noticed a group of children painting a mural depicting the miracle, shimmering hues of gold and blue dancing on the canvas. Collected stories from the community surrounded the mural, highlighted in vibrant colors, reminding everyone that miracles flourished in love and connection. As Carlo cherished the genuine joy emanating from each gathering, he realized how the miracle of Siena had reignited faith, not only in individual lives, but woven a vibrant tapestry of connection among them all. This was far beyond what he had anticipated when he first created the website. It had become a catalyst for a continually evolving community, honored to share their collective experiences, nurturing one another in faith. Each person's voice became a light flickering brightly in a world often overshadowed by darkness. Together, they illuminated pathways toward deeper understanding, acceptance, and celebration rooted in the essence of faith. Continuing on this journey, Carlo envisioned expanding the outreach beyond their immediate community. He began crafting plans to connect with neighboring parishes and encourage them to adopt similar initiatives. As the movement grew, he dreamt of a festival where testimonials from diverse regions could converge, showcasing the beauty of faith in an expansive, transformative celebration. It became increasingly clear that the miracle of Siena was more than a singular event. It was an ongoing narrative, a testament to a living faith, dynamically rewriting itself through every individual willing to share their journey. Carlo smiled as he reflected on how one young man's desire to document a miracle had ignited an entire community, a living embodiment of faith and hope echoing across time. And as each new story unfolded, he was reminded that the power of miracles lay not just in the stories themselves, but in the hearts united through them, forever shining brightly, illuminating the world. As the months rolled on, Carlo Acutis continued to weave the threads of faith and storytelling tighter within the fabric of his community. The idea of a festival had taken root, blossoming into an ambitious plan that would draw parishes from all corners of the region. Carlo's dream to create a celebration of faith and connection was gradually becoming a reality, and he was determined to see it come to life. He organized meetings with neighboring parish leaders, inviting them to contribute their own stories and experiences related to the miracle of Siena. The enthusiasm was palpable in the room, pastors nodding in agreement, parish members excitedly discussing contributions of art, music, and individual testimonies. The unity among them stirred excitement as they recognized the importance of joining forces to amplify their voices. Carlo painstakingly coordinated the details for the festival, branding it as the Eternal Flame celebration. He envisioned a gathering that celebrated their bond through shared experiences and miracles, bringing a sense of harmony to the participating parishes. Together, they planned events that would highlight the deep ties between their communities. Storytelling sessions, inspirational speakers, art exhibits, and live performances infused with faith. As the festival date approached, Carlo watched with joy as excitement spread like wildfire. Flyers circulated through local churches, social media buzzed with anticipation, and families marked their calendars, eager for this unique moment of celebration. Carlo continued to engage with everyone involved, ensuring the festival would honor their collective journey, capturing the essence of faith that ran through each shared story. On the day of the festival, the sun shone brilliantly over the lush fields and sprawling lawns of the local park, adorned with colorful decorations and vibrant banners. As families poured in, Carlo felt a wave of emotion wash over him. The sight of children running joyfully, parents engaging in deep conversations, and friends reuniting filled him with warmth, and he knew this was the culmination of community effort, faith, and love. The opening ceremony commenced, and Carlo stood at the forefront, his heart racing with exhilaration and pride. Welcome to the Eternal Flame celebration. Today we honor the miracle of Siena and the powerful stories that unite us in faith, he began, his voice steady but full of emotion. Each of you plays a vital role in this tapestry of belief. Together, we create a symphony that reverberates throughout time. Applause erupted, and Carlo felt the atmosphere shift. There was a tangible energy that surged through the crowd, a collective acknowledgement of their journey together. He introduced the first speaker, a priest from a neighboring parish who had witnessed firsthand the transformative power of faith in action. As people shared their stories throughout the day, the festival echoed with laughter, tears, and hope. One by one, individuals stepped forward to recount their personal encounters with miracles, each tale a testament to the enduring truth of divine presence in their lives. The diverse narratives created an interwoven melody that resonated deeply with all attendees, forging unbreakable bonds. In one touching moment, a young girl stood on stage with her parents, recounting the story of her grandmother's recovery from illness after prayer. "I knew that the miracle of Siena was real because I saw my grandma smile again," she said, her eyes bright with innocence and joy. Her words brought tears to many, reminding everyone of the power of faith and the miracles that still unfold in everyday life. As dusk settled, a gentle glow enveloped the park, and the festival transitioned into an evening of faith-inspired performances. Musicians filled the air with uplifting melodies that spoke of grace, love, and connection. As Carlo watched from the sidelines, he felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. This celebration was everything he had hoped for and more. As the final act performed a heartwarming song, Carlo was drawn back to the spirit of community that had ignited the journey. The miracle of Siena pulsing within each person gathered. It was as if they had created their own living testament to faith, weaving their stories together into a powerful narrative that transcended time and space. At the end of the evening, the celebration culminated in a collective prayer, inviting everyone to join hands and reflect on the stories shared throughout the day. Heads bowed, hearts intertwined, they prayed for strength, love, and the continued light of miracles to illuminate their paths. As the festival concluded, Carlo felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude and purpose swell within him. This gathering had not only brought people together, but had ignited a movement, one rooted in faith, hope, and the ever-present possibility of miracles. He recognized that his journey was far from over. With each story shared, the commitment to honor the miracle of Siena grew stronger. In the coming weeks, Carlo expanded his vision beyond the festival, developing additional outreach initiatives that would further gather new stories and experiences. He created spaces for ongoing discussions, both in person and online, where everyone could feel empowered to be a part of the dialogue. The miracle of Siena was alive and thriving, echoing through the lives of those willing to share their journeys. As Carlo continued this mission, he remained steadfastly convinced that each story had the power to inspire, to connect, and to illuminate faith in the hearts of many searching for truth. In this tapestry of life woven together by belief, Carlo Acutis understood that he had become a conduit of hope and light, dedicated to fostering miracles for generations to come. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. To hear the next story, click the box on the left. Thanks for watching.